Hey, everybody. We are live. I'm Nina Hart. I am the president of the National Nurses in Business Association, and this is Casey Goff. She is our member engagement coordinator, and we are here on our Tuesday afternoon live stream talking about when to pivot. So today's topic is kind of learning when to change what you're doing in your business. So how do you know when it's time to do something different? And this topic really struck me when you sent me the list of topic ideas because we had literally just done last week breaking through plateaus and barriers in your business. And
Right.
then when I saw when to pivot, it really struck me because I think this is hard. This is something that you're like, oh, should I wait? Should I just keep doing this for a while? Should I,
Right.
should I give this a chance? Or, you've been doing something for a long time. Okay. Get that broken in. Hopefully that doesn't mess my internet up because that was my Wi-Fi that just fell off. So I was excited about the topic because I do feel like it's something that every nurse in business is going to go through, like learning when to change. And I think you have to learn to change in order to grow and scale your business. You have to know, like, there's going to be times when you have to change your strategy. And I think it would be helpful just to talk about recognizing the need for when it's time to pivot.
Yeah, I agree. So if someone's watching this and they're not really sure what it means by like pivoting, explain like what do you mean when you say it might be time to pivot? Does that mean pivot your whole product, your whole service, your marketing technique? Like
That's a really good question. And I appreciate you thinking of that because I think everybody kind of has a different definition of what this means or their own definition, or, we tend to say to mean like stop doing one thing and start doing something else, right? And it doesn't necessarily have to mean that. I mean, it can. But like as nurses, we are used to having to think on the fly, right? To having to think very quickly, think on our feet when something doesn't work. What do I do now? What can I try instead? This didn't do it, right? And I think of me being a hospice nurse and being out in the field. One of my favorite hospice stories is like it's the middle of the night and I'm on call and my patient has like a mucus plug and cannot breathe. And she needs oxygen, she needs a nebulizer treatment, she needs morphine, and I have whatever's in my trunk, right? So like I called the medical director. I'll never forget this. I had only been an RN for like a year at this point, if that. And I called the medical director and I said, what do I do? She can't breathe. I can't get it clear. I don't have anything. It's 1 a.m. What do I do? And he said, check your pulse. You're freaking out. I loved him and he was great. And he walked me through it and we actually got her comfortable. But sometimes what we're equipped to do, what we have on us, what we have in our own brain, what we have in our trunk, what we have, the resources we have don't seem adequate. And we have to do something different. We have to do something that may feel uncomfortable. But pivoting isn't just like always making that quick decision on the fly. Sometimes it's a really strategic decision to say, okay, I've been doing this. It doesn't feel aligned anymore. Like for me, sometimes it's not even that something's not working. Maybe it's working great, but I don't feel aligned with that strategy anymore. It doesn't feel good to me. And so pivoting might mean changing what you offer, or as something that I see a lot with nurses, I like to challenge them to say, like, what you offer might be great and your service might be perfect, but the way you're messaging it, people don't know they need it or want it or how to get it from you, or the messaging isn't clear and you need to pivot how you're presenting what you offer. So there's a lot of different areas and a lot of different ways that you could pivot. You could pivot your entire business to, online versus in person. You could pivot from coaching to consulting, there's a lot of overlap in coaching and consulting. So maybe you find you don't enjoy helping people find the answer and you just want to give them the answer. You should pivot from coaching to consulting, because in consulting, we just say, here's the strategy. You choose whether you're going to do it or not, right? So when you realize something doesn't feel right or something doesn't feel aligned, or you're feeling resistance, or you're like, man, I'm just not making the progress I want to see, a lot of that could be due to needing to make some small strategic shifts in one area or another, or in your services. I mean, it could be a variety of different.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, we outgrow things too. So something might not be, like you said, it just might not resonate with you anymore. It might not align with what you are trying to do. And as we grow, there's some things we have to leave behind, unfortunately. So
And we grow into things that now we feel comfortable doing that we might not have before.
yeah, like me doing these lives.
That's right. See, this might have not been something you could have done a year ago, and here you are,
Yeah,
just
I put them
killing
off
it.
so long.
That's right.
If you would have told me I could just wear Bucky's hoodies and
That's right.
just chat, then I would
Bring
have
the buck and show up. That's it. That's all it is.
Perfect. So how would someone like that is wanting to make a change? I'm kind of in this, so I'm interested in picking your brain. I'm kind of in this situation now. Something needs to change, but like, how do you evaluate and decide what needs to change and how am I going to change it?
Well, I think we really undervalue market research. I think market research is super underrated. Okay. So, if you're recognizing that a piece of your business strategy isn't working, I think that would depend on what it was you were looking at, what your next steps would be. But, if you're not getting sales, let's say you're a coach and you're not getting sales, or you sell digital courses and you're not getting sales, that could be a positioning or a marketing offer, right? So it's not where people can see it. You're not marketing it well, or sharing it. You don't have the visibility you need for it. That could be an issue. Or if it's a mindset issue, it's going to be that resistance. You're stuck in this mindset that this is the only solution for your business. The only solution is XYZ, and that's what I have to do. And
Right.
usually that is a lie, right? Or it could be something external, like the demand in the market has totally shifted, or your niche isn't a need anymore, or you have to shift it to a luxury offer. If it's something that with inflation and people cutting costs, maybe you need to shift this more to a luxury offer because the people you're marketing to can't afford it anymore, right?
Well, I was just going to say your market is important. Sorry to interrupt you, but it's really important. And this is like when I'm talking with people that are doing discovery calls about like exhibiting or sponsorship, I'm like, this is a very specific market. This is the market you want to target to. It's back to like that metaphor that we used before, where we talked about if you throw out a line in the ocean, you might not have as much luck as if you throw out the line in like a little pond.
Right.
So having a very specific market, I think, is super important too.
Well, I think there are certain things that need to occur. There are certain needs that need to align and be met in order for a product to work. So like, you have to have somebody that wants it. It has to be a desirable thing to have, right? I have to look at it and say, yes, I need that. So some section of some person has to see what you have and say, I have a desire to have that, or I see the reason for that. Maybe it's a business need. Like for me with consulting, compliance is a need. If they want to stay open and they can't do it internally, they need my help. They have to have it, right? They might not even want it. They might be like, what a waste of money, but we have to have it, right? So then the other thing is they have to have the money to pay for it. So the first thing is the need, right? There has to be a need for your service, and then there has to be someone who can pay for it. So the problem is I've talked to nurses who are very passionate about serving and helping people, and I love that. But the thing is, if they can't pay for it, then you don't have a market to sell to. So like, I was talking to a nurse who is very involved in her church. And she said, I want to coach widowed women who have lost their husband. Maybe they lost their home. Maybe they, are in a situation where they can't work, whatever the case. And she's like, I really want to do that. I'm passionate about it. And I'm like, I love that. What is the plan for you to make money? Because right now, this is a volunteer demographic if they can't pay you. She's telling me they can't afford the
Right,
service.
right.
I need to be able to charge this. I need to make this in order to quit my job. Then you need to look into either a nonprofit business model or getting grants or doing some RFPs with some government organizations who support seniors, or emotional services, or get partner with some healthcare organizations and do this as a consulting model to say this is going to keep them out of the hospital. There's a million different ways to do it. That doesn't mean you're going to shut down that idea and you're not going to do it. It just means somebody has to pay for the service, right?
Right.
So they have to want it and they have to be able to pay for it. So it's like, if you don't have those things, and they have to be able to find it. They have to know it's there, right? So there has to be a way to connect them to that that service. So it's that visibility. And a lot of the times, unfortunately, that's going to be in content creation. That's going to be authority. That's going to be in you creating authority. So getting it out there, getting visibility to your product. And sometimes these are the areas we have to pivot in. We don't even have to pivot what we're selling. We just have to pivot in how we talk about it, where we're getting it out there.
Right. I also think that's a really good opportunity for people if like you have a lot of experience in getting sponsorships or working with grants. Like a lot of people could use that consulting or that level of consulting. A lot of people could use that because we get that question a lot. How can I raise the money for this? Okay, well, that's really good. It's good to hear that you don't have to change completely what you're doing. Sometimes you just have to change the messaging or who you're messaging to.
I do think there's a challenge in that makes it really hard for us sometimes when we are evaluating our own messaging. We think it's great. This is my baby. This is my baby. Are you going to say it's ugly? Right? Like I did this. I created this beautiful thing. I'm so happy with it. If you asked me 9 out of 10 times, this is the issue, is that a nurse shows me something and my honest response is, I don't know what this means.
Yeah.
And I'm saying that out of love for them. I don't even understand what you're selling or how this would apply to me. And so it makes perfect sense in their brain, but they're not the one buying it. They're the one that created it, right? So it's like, if you have a very generalized kind of nebulous offer that has no concrete outcome that I see I'm getting for my money, if I hand you money, I want to get a candy bar for that, right? Or an ice cream cone or something delicious and great that makes me happy. And I'm so happy I spent this money on this. Now that can be translated to just about anything, but I need to know what I get for what I pay for. And sometimes that is the most unclear part is, a nurse will advertise, buy this here. And you're like, no one knows what they're getting. You don't even know what I don't even know what I would be buying if I bought this. So it's really hard to look at yourself and say, and I would recommend if you have some peers in your circle, who are doing similar things.
Sorry.
That's
I
okay.
think I just got a package.
Good thing I have my AirPods in, or Sunny would be freaking out if she heard Millie. But that's okay. But, it's really hard to do that self-evaluation. And it's what I tell hospices when I'm doing consulting is it's almost impossible to identify and correct issues that you have internally. If you have a nurse who's doing your audits internally, she's afraid for her job. She's not going to say this isn't right? Unless she's just a really strong, confident person, she's probably not going to say, oh, I messed up and missed this. Right. And I'm sure people do, but the point is it's really, really hard to see the problem when you're so close to it when you're so deeply involved in it.
Yeah.
It's tough.
For sure. For sure. Well, so I think a takeaway that I got from this is it's just important to recognize like the difference between it being like a strategy issue and being stuck. So being able to kind of like take a step back, whether it's just you or whether you have like find a trusted adult
Yeah.
to help you kind of like objectively look at your data and your vision and know that, you know, I always talk about ego, but sometimes it is you, but that's great because you can control you. So sometimes you just need to pivot. Pivot.
So you said find a trusted adult, and my brain immediately went to, or find a kid, because they will really tell you about yourself.
Oh
You'd be
my
like,
gosh.
hey, teenage kid, hey, 10-year-old, 12-year-old kid, what do you think about this? That is ugly.
Yeah.
They'll just rip your heart out.
I know.
You want to know the truth about what you're doing?
Yeah.
Ask a teenager.
Ask a child. Yeah. Yes. For sure. For sure.
Ask one of my children.
Well, I was going to say that. I was going to say, if I want to feel good, I'll ask Jordan. If I want to feel bad, I'll ask Jackson.
That looks terrible. That makes you look fat.
Yep. All right. Well, okay. So we should give like a challenge because I like to do this.
You like challenges.
I like challenges. And I like when people engage in the challenges.
I do too.
So I would say just like maybe identifying an area that's not working super well. I think there is always a little part in our brains that sort of, we know it's not working. It's kind of like a relationship. Like this isn't really working, but I don't want to face it right now. So maybe it's time to face that, and it could really improve your business model. So identify an area that you're feeling stuck, and then kind of figure out, is it a strategy issue or is it something bigger? And that's why it's helpful to work with your member engagement coordinator or other people that can hold you accountable to kind of get there.
I would say what came to my mind when you said this is, if you don't know what to look at to see what's not working, you're like, well, I don't feel particularly great about everything. Everything's horrible right now. Or everything seems like it's going great. How do I know it's not working? A lot of times as new business owners and as small business owners and as solopreneurs, if you want to be savvy, we are running our whole business ourselves. And everything in our business is in our head. There's nothing on paper. My challenge for them would be to put some numbers down and look at what the numbers are saying. If you don't have metrics for your business to measure, use your revenue as your first top line metric, because you can look at that paper and see if it's red or black. If you are making money, then something's working. If you are making no money, there is something broken.
Can be changed,
right? You can do something better if you're not making any money, or if you're not making as much as you want, or you don't have as many clients as you want, you're not getting as many sales. So you could look at metrics for sales calls. Well, I had 10 calls with potential clients and I only converted 1. Well, you could be higher than that, right? So there's something in your discovery process that you could look at that needs to pivot. Maybe you need to revamp your discovery process or better qualify your clients before you have a discovery call, because they're not ready for you, right? There's limitless different strategy items that you can do from looking at your numbers. Every number, any number, look at your Facebook likes, your Instagram likes, look at your DMs, look at your sales calls, look at your email open rates, your click-through open rate, your click-through email rates, look at your whatever you are doing, your visitors, your website visitors, if you're web-based, your store visitors, if you're store-based, your average sales, if you're a retail, there are endless metrics that we can use to tell us where things aren't going right. So I would heavily suggest that if there were only a couple things that you could do, that you would look at your metrics to tell you where the problem is.
And if you don't understand, and if you don't understand it, that's when it's really important to leverage AI, because there's data and then there's information, and data is like the raw numbers, and then the information is what you get from the data. So if you
Yes.
don't know how to process the information, then just take the data and ask ChatGPT or some AI platform, what does this show? What trends, what should I gather from this? What information does this
That's
data give
great
me?
advice. Yeah.
That is so important because I know it's hard to understand it. You might not get it, but you don't have to get it
Right.
until, you can have some program teach you how to get it. So,
I also think on the other side, that if your numbers aren't telling you anything, or if your numbers are speaking a very clear story, which is $0 then there is a mindset piece or an alignment piece that you could tie back to your why. I know Casey wants to tie it back to the why. So Casey loves the why. So I'll tie it back to the why. Why doesn't that align with your vision for what your business was? Why isn't this feeling like this is what I started my business to do? Is it that you're not serving the right person? Is it that you're not clear on who you serve? Is it that you're not offering what you feel like you enjoy doing or it energizes you and what you're doing is draining you? Or back to a little bit of strategy and a little bit of mindset, where those overlap, if I was like a Venn diagram, would be that market research. Is there a need? Do people want what I have? Am I messaging it clearly? Am I visible? So it's this overlap between that why and that vision and the actual business strategy of doing the things that need to be done to make sure your ideal client knows what you have and knows how to get it. And it's easy for them to find and it's easy for them to check out, right?
right,
It should be very easy. It should be fun and exciting to do business with you.
right.
And you can use all those pieces to decide which areas you need to pivot in, which areas you're doing well in and feel good. And it might take some time. It might take some time to figure that out and kind of do some soul searching there, what you want your business to look like. Sometimes for me, it's been really good exercise to write out my dreams and just what I want out of my business. Why am I doing this business? Because you can get very lost in the day to day and say, well, yesterday I was on my laptop from 5 a.m. to 7 p.m. and was so tired that I fell right into bed. And that is not why I opened a business. That's why I quit my job.
Right.
So you have to go back to that why and go back to that vision of what you want your business to be to make that pivot, to make your business align with your dreams and your goals.
Right. I agree. I think that's great advice.
That's my soapbox.
Yeah. Well, unless there's anything that you want to add, I think it's a good time for me just to remind everyone, because it's my favorite thing to talk about, that the conference is coming up and we hit a lot of these topics when you're at the conference, just way more in depth. I think it's really great to be around other people that are very motivated and that can kind of serve as your accountability partners. So if you have any questions about the conference, about exhibiting, about sponsoring, anything like that, please let me know. My email is casey@nursesbusiness.com. Or if you just have any, if the topic like sparked any ideas or any questions, feel free to reach out to me as well. I would love to help in any way.
Well, I'm super excited. I'm glad you brought that up because, we do have a bunch of really good content on this coming. And I also think just being around other people and hearing their ideas for me is super energizing and helps me have new ideas that I would not have those insights on my own. I just wouldn't. I needed to hear what you're stuck on and how you're pivoting to like find my own solution.
Yeah.
And then also like just the kind of topics that we're having, like I'm super excited. Alexandria Nyambwe is talking about like overcoming like imposter syndrome in your business.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I feel like this directly relates, to be honest, because I think sometimes like we need to pivot. We know we need to pivot, but we're in our heads. Like this stress starts to cause this block. And so I feel like when we have that imposter syndrome, we don't think we're good enough to grow our business, or we don't believe that we're showing up like we're supposed to. And so we don't pivot because we just think it's our fault, right? Or
Right.
no one's interested. And so
Mhm.
there's just so many components and so many layers of this. That's one speaker I'm really excited to hear. And so we've got just tons of opportunities to break through and pivot and new ideas and new solutions. And I am really excited about that. So I appreciate you bringing that up.
Yes, of course. Well, me too. And thanks for telling everybody about how to pivot, and it's helpful to me too. So
Good.
I'm
I'm
excited about
glad.
this one.
Glad I could help. And hey, we really do want to hear from you. So if this helped you, um, the chat is open. We still go back and check it, put a comment, and just say like what you're looking at, what your problem is, what you feel like you're stuck on, what you're considering pivoting to. We like to hear these. It's helpful for us to know what people are dealing with. Or if you want to privately share, you can always email us. And Casey set out a challenge. Will you tell them one more time what the challenge is and how they can do that?
Yeah, just kind of to take a look at what you're doing right now that you think it could be improved, and try to decide, is this a mindset issue? Is this a strategy issue? Is it something that I need to pivot on, or is it something I just need to refine? So just look at, maybe the areas that you're struggling, or somewhere like last week we talked about plateaus, and just reflect on it. Decide, is it something you need to pivot, or just add a small step to address it.
Yep. And I think just thinking about it sometimes is enough to have that awareness start of like, wait a second, I don't like this about my business. And why am I building it this way? What could be different is enough to kind of open the door to new solutions. And once you're open to hearing that and receiving that, you can hear advice other people are giving, and other people are doing different things that are working. And you can get that insight and that inspiration you need to make that change.
I agree.
Thanks. Well, shoot Casey an email at Casey at Nurses Business and let her know if you looked at your business and what you found. And you can include me on that. I'd love to hear it. Nina at nursesbusiness.com. We like to hear your feedback. We like to hear how this helped you. So have a
Yeah,
great week.
yeah. Bye bye.
All right. Bye.